equivalence basis, Bitcoin's worth $1 million. And I've always stuck with that as that's probably the kind of, right kind of target.
Former hedge fund manager Raoul Pal shares his insights on the current state of the crypto and financial markets and what direction we can expect from Bitcoin this year, leading into 2024. Pal says the lack of trust in the traditional financial system has driven people towards a parallel in Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies. He predicts that the current environment is set up for a strong performance by the crypto market, similar to 2013, due to banking issues in Europe, the US and China, all of which are facing debt and will need to stimulate. While acknowledging the volatility of Bitcoin, Powell believes that holding on long-term can be extremely profitable. He believes Bitcoin will reach $50,000 faster than most people anticipate and doubles down on his price target of $1 million. Let's get right to the latest interview with Raoul Pal as he discusses the massive opportunity in the stock and crypto market in the weeks to come. Also, we have just partnered with our friends over at Jamie Tree Finance, who have just launched a daily 5-minute crypto newsletter. It's a fantastic analysis of on-chain crypto data and breakdowns, and the best part, it's absolutely free. So to give out as much value to you as possible, we're sending out a 5-minute daily newsletter which will cover expert predictions, breakdowns of on-chain crypto data, and any breaking news that you need to know, all in a nutshell. Click the first link in the description and enter your email to join over 5,000 others in becoming a better crypto investor right now. Before we dive in, don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoy the content we do here on this channel.
This whole Bitcoin halving narrative, I've spent a long time looking at it, and I think it's factually incorrect.
Interesting.
It is actually the business cycle, which is quite extraordinary, and it's best represented by M2. So global M2, year on year, is the same as Bitcoin year on year, basically, except Bitcoin overshoots on the upside, so it comes off the scale because it's an exponential adoption asset. It's got Metcalfe's law to it. So what you find is in the bull markets, it outperforms where M2 should be. In the bear markets, it exactly follows it. And so then I thought, what's going on here? And I just wrote a thesis on this because I just suddenly figured it out. I got on my Bloomberg a chart of the ISM survey. And I'm like, I've been looking at this for 30 years. I'm like, it looks really cyclical now. I mean, like clockwork cyclical. So on Bloomberg, you got this cycles finder. So I put it on, and every top is exactly 3.5 years. And all the bottoms match. Every top is every time Bitcoin tops. And then I started doing the work, and I realized what I think has happened is the global business cycle is just a refi cycle, because everybody in the world reset their rates at zero in 2009. And most debt is between 3 and 5 years. So you get this 3.5 year cycle,
Right.
which is a refi cycle. So right now, the problem is if we got rates at bloody 5%, there's not enough money to cover it, so the economy slows down, etc. So it feels that Bitcoin, all the crypto market, is liquidity flow plus adoption. And once I discovered that, it just so happens that Bitcoin was launched at exactly the same time as zero rates. You know, I looked at this for a long time and, you know, talked to Plan B about this, and I'm like, direction, it seems fine. I don't have a problem with it, and it doesn't have to be perfect. But it's like, but where's the demand side of that equation? Because it's only a supply story. And every time I look at people in commodity markets who just use supply, which is a lot of people, they always pick it up because demand is actually the more important equation. The other thing I learned was, having been in Bitcoin since 2013, is ridden the cycle up and down. So taken the joys and the pain, and then rode it all the way back up in 2017. Got out too early into the mayhem when it was at 2000. I was up 10x, and I thought I was a god. Then it went up another 10x. Then it collapsed, and then I bought it back, I thought, brilliantly in April 2020. But I'd sold out at 2000. I bought back at 6,500. I'm like, moron, why don't you just keep it and buy more in the low? And I would have done a lot better. I went, did the whole maths and how much better I would have done, even though I traded it really well, theoretically. I'd have done 5x better just by holding it. And if I'd have doubled my position, my original stake at the low, I would have been something like 15 or 20 times more than I made. I'm like, okay. So I've used that framework. It's like, okay, fine, just find whatever liquidity you can when it does this,
Yeah.
and you tend to get the higher expected future returns. Basically speaking, we'll all be okay if it goes up from here. You know, another couple of cycles with this 3x versus the previous high, everyone will be just fine. You don't need to be the richest person in the world. You can still be surfing in Hawaii or scuba diving in the Cayman Islands and not have to focus on all of it. So that's kind of how I think about it, but everybody always wants a target. In the back of my mind, when I first started this, I wrote the first ever macro strategy piece on Bitcoin, and I just compared above ground supply of gold and known reserves and just backed it into Bitcoin and said, roughly speaking, with gold at, I think it was about $1,300 at the time, I said, equivalence basis, Bitcoin's worth $1 million. And I've always stuck with that as that's probably the kind of, right kind of target.
Powell encourages investors to have an abundance mindset and not worry about the market like it's in a conflict. He also shares his bullish outlook for crypto and discusses how it will perform in the days and weeks to come.
It's a terrible narrative, but it is like a digital gold. It's a fixed asset that does one thing right now. Yes, we've got these ordinals and a few other things, but I just don't see that really getting traction. So that is not the same network. If you think of Metcalfe's law, it's not only the number of connections on the network, but the interconnected between them, i.e. everything you build on top.
Right.
And ETH has that written large everywhere.
Right.
So there is almost in no world, if that continues, that Bitcoin stays as is, the Bitcoin maximus perfect thing, it can't be as big as ETH. Just mathematically impossible. And that's okay. But people kind of, they worry about that like it's some war. It's not. Just have an abundance mindset and everybody's fine.
What do you think of the Sol ETH chart then?
Super bullish on that one. If that breaks here, it's still messing around, but if it breaks that level, it just feels to me that it's Solana will outperform ETH, will outperform Bitcoin, and something else will outperform Solana, but it becomes harder for me. I just don't have the ability to figure out what that will be, because we've got new stuff like Sui and we've got other stuff coming up, I don't know, but those three charts are really interesting to me. When you step back, and I keep trying to get people to think this, it's a long-term adoption curve, and we're only just started. We're at 300 million people, and we will get to 3 billion people over time. So you need to think of things as a long-duration asset, and you just size it accordingly. Now, depending how much risk you want to take, and that's it. But people get so obsessed. I mean, yes, I look at hourly charts next to me on my Bloomberg of ETH and everything else. I don't trade at all. I never buy it, never sell it. Occasionally I'll make a switch. So if the Sol ETH chart really breaks and I got some conviction, I'll switch some of my ETH into Sol. That's all I ever do. I don't even trade it, even though I've got hourly charts and I'm watching it like a crack addict for no reason. I think what we'll see, because of adoption curves and how they always play out, is a decreasing rate of change.
Yeah.
And what you'll end up doing is naturally switching into another asset if you're driven by performance. There's a whole bunch of Bitcoin maxis who aren't. They're driven by idealism, and that's fine. But for me, it's about, why did I make the switch from Bitcoin into ETH? It was just that the ETH adoption curve for such a large asset was so much faster. So I think what will happen is these curves come down over time. And so I don't know what that terminal value is.
While there may be other assets that will outperform Solana, Powell suggests that it will outperform both Ethereum and Bitcoin. He mentions the Bitcoin having narrative suggesting that it is factually incorrect, and that Bitcoin's year-on-year performance is similar to M2, aka the US money stock. Powell emphasizes the importance of considering both supply and demand when analyzing the markets, noting that demand often plays a more critical role. He also shares his discovery after the European crisis in 2008, where he realized that the expected future return of a market that had fallen significantly was astronomical. He still believes the cyclical crypto market works well, but has continued to doubt Bitcoin's limited functionality, as the number of connections on the network is crucial for Bitcoin to continue growing. What do you think about Raoul Pal's crypto market prediction, and how soon will we see the much-anticipated $1 million price for Bitcoin? Comment down below. Thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe for more content just like this. We'll see you in the next video.